Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Shulchan Aruch, Yomi. Today we're learning Siman Samach Beis number 62, Hilchos Kriya Shema. Mishalo Diktek B'Kriya Shema Olo Hishmiel La'ozno. We talked in Siman Samach Aleph about how careful you have to be to pronounce the words of Kriya Shema. Here we're going to talk more about making it audible to your ear. Aleph, Alo Pisha Mitzvah Daktek B'Os Yoseh, Karav Lo Diktek B'Han Yatsa. This really belongs in the previous Siman. That way, all these chumras, there are chumras that you have to actually be careful to read it, to make sure to read words that have the same letter at the beginning and the end of one word and the beginning of the next word, or to say words distinctly, or to the na should be the na, nach should be the nach. I mean, you should have the right emphasis on each syllable, and it should be madgish, the osios, when they have a dot in them, and when they don't have a dot in them, you should pronounce them the way without a dot in them. All these things that we mentioned in the previous simon, they're all lechatchila. If you didn't do them, you're still yotzei. They're all ways of, but you said the words. You said the words. You're yotzei. They're just it's b'diavad. I don't know. I would call it mitzvah and amufkar. Those things. None of these things are mentioned really in the Gemara. So I would say not lechatchila b'diavad. Maybe mitzvah and amufkar if you're able to, and it doesn't make you crazy. You shouldn't become crazy because of Kriya Shema. If you do, you should check out The Real Me, Chapter 11, which I recorded earlier today and already put out. We talk more about the difference, fastidiousness in halacha versus OCD. It's very important to listen to that shir. Beis Yakal Likrosa V'chol Lashon. This is an important halacha. You could say Kriya Shema. The machlokes in the Gemara, machlokes Tanoim, but we paskin Kriya Shema. You can say in any language. You can say it in English, right? It's translated to English. Hear, O Israel. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, translated to English, you could do that. You should make sure you have an accurate translation. I guess Art Scroll would be an accurate translation. Or from File Hirsch, Chumashim, accurate translation. You have to. But the problem is, the thing is, that you have to understand exactly what you're saying. The Mishnah Berurah writes is very interesting. The Sifra, he quotes the Sifrei Achronim. Nowadays it's different. It used to be you could say any language. Nowadays we don't have precise translation of the word. That's what he says. We can't translate the words precisely, and therefore you have to read it in Hebrew, because only Hebrew has the correct translation. Vishinantam. What does the word Vishinantam mean? Vishinantam, to teach. Levanecha. It could mean, the Gemara says it means a lot of different things. So I don't understand these achronim. They say nowadays we don't understand, but what years ago we did understand. I think nowadays we probably have a better understanding of language than they did in earlier times. I think just as, like many years ago, you could be yotzei by saying a translation, and so too today you can be yotzei even like Achila saying a translation. He does say that if you're saying a translation, of course you have to be yotzei. You have to understand what you're saying. Say in a language, you can't say it in Russian, or you can't say it on Ukrainian if you don't understand those languages. What you can say it in English when they say in English, or any other language you understand that language. And even if you say it in Hebrew, you have to make sure. This is interesting, because this is what people think, that if you say it in Hebrew, you don't have to understand it. If you say it in other different language, you have to understand it. But he says it's not true. He says if you say it in Hebrew, you're yotzei. Why? He says the end of Sif Katan Gimel over here, because it's impossible. The real mitzvah of Kriya Shema is the first pasuk, and everybody knows. Even if you say it in Hebrew, you know what the explanation is. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Even if you're one of those people that go crazy and start thinking about the words 100 times, in your mind, did I say it? Did I say it? Did I say it? Right? I mentioned I saw this person. When I was in yeshiva with him, he used to spend literally a half an hour after davening saying the first pasuk of Kriya Shema again, so he can make sure he understood what it said. And this was not a person that was an Amharis who didn't. I think he grew up he knew Hebrew very well. So he says, even when you say it in Hebrew, you have to understand. So there's no adif, there's no better at Hebrew. Hebrew is just a language that we say it, and most people understand Hebrew. Jews are taught Hebrew, but you have to understand in Hebrew also. This is very important. I'm going to talk more about this in Shulchan Aruch in the separate share. Gimel sarich lahashmiya laozno mashamotz mipiv. L'chadchila, you have to. The Gemara does say this. You have to make it audible to your ear what you're saying. As long as you made it audible, it's not audible to your ear, right? Sound emitted from your mouth, it just wasn't loud enough for you to hear. You're yotzei. As long as you moved your lips and you enunciated something. Dalin imachmas choli ones achar kara kriya shema belibo yatsa. if you're very sick, or for some other reason you're very sore throat or something like that, and you can't actually enunciate, you can't even. So he says motzi v'spasav. I don't think it means just to move your lips. You have to actually make a sound. I think that's what I think personally. You have to make a sound. Just to move your lips, I don't think counts. You have to make a little bit of sound. It doesn't have to be audible to your ears, but you have to make a little sound. If you can't even do that, so you should think it in your heart. So this is interesting. They said you're yotze with this. He brings Seva Aruch as a Chaim Datsa Yerushalmi. The argument doesn't say you're yotze with this. I would think you're not, because we paskin. Here, lav kedibur dam. It comes to dibur Torah. Here, thinking is not kedibur dam. This is hearer. It's not kedibur dam. How are you yotze? I mean, I would just say you don't have to say it at all. If you can't enunciate the words, you're onus. Onus rachmana patra. The Torah patras you from the mitzvahs if you're an onus. It don't even bother saying it. Hagav avachadchila yasa kain. You can even do l'chadchila. Imu makom sheino naki lagamrei ve'eno yachal lignakosa mishum onus here ahara belibo. We're going to learn later on if you're in a place that's dirty, right? It has urine or feces or things like that where you can't say brachos. So something you can do. You should think about it in your heart. Right? If it's completely, we're going to learn to say divrei Torah, to say it with your mouth. There's certain halachas how far you have to be away from the urine and the feces. If you think in your heart, so maybe there's makom to be mekel, but if it's completely disgusting place, a really disgusting bathroom or wherever you are, so you shouldn't even think in your heart, because hearer is also usher and a makom tinofes, and a makom that's completely disgusting. Hey, Sarah Shliach Sirah Lashmiya Kolo B'Shma Yisrael Kadesh Yishmu Akav Yamlichu Shem Shemayim B'Yachad. The Shliach Sibur we learn in Siman Samach Aleph that you should say it loud. Also, the Shliach Sibur should make sure to say it loud, in order that everyone in the Kehila, everyone in the congregation, should have the proper kavanah. Mamlich Hashem together. Shulchan Aruch said in Siman Samach you have to actually have kavanah for the milim. I don't know if you have the kavanah for the what it actually means, but you have to at least know that you're doing a mitzvah. But again, you don't have to think that. You just have to be in a situation where you're doing a mitzvah. This comes from a kolbo b'shem medrash. If he means that the shliach is supposed to say it loud so that everyone else says it loud to hear it, that makes a lot of sense to me, as I explained in Ian Shulchan Aruch in Siman Samach Aleph, that it's very important for you to say it out loud and to understand what you're saying. It's the mitzvah of Dibra Torah, Kriyas HaTorah, that you're Kovei Itim LaTorah and you're Yotzei with the first pasuk of Kriyas Shema. So that's why it's very important over here. Besides that, I don't know that they should have Kavanah Mamlich Shem Shamayim. I don't know if that, I understand that 100%. Stay tuned for Ian Shulchan Aruch. We're going to talk more about the ability for you to say Kriyas Shema in English if you want, or any other language that you understand, versus Hebrew. Is there any reason to say it in Hebrew? Stay tuned for that coming up next.